So the Metroid Prime 4 Beyond reviews are finally starting to come out, and the game isn't scoring as well as a lot of people thought it would. But let me tell you why I'm not surprised.
What it do, bruh? Talk of the town, Nintendo, Doc Trey, still holding it down, still make the best games, and you know this, bro. It's the truth. You don't like it, you can have that seatbelt.
So Metroid Prime 4 comes out in just a couple days now, finally after all of this time. And the reviews are now coming out, and the game is starting to score significantly lower than other games in the series, because there's some reviewers are giving the game glowing reviews and some not so much. So right now it looks like the game is sitting at an average of around 80 or 81 or so, while the original game, original trilogy and stuff like that, they're usually, 90s and up. So this is a big shock to a lot of people. Of course, a lot of the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo haters, Nintendo Switch 2 haters are loving it. But none of this surprises me. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, this really shouldn't surprise you with there being negative reviews out there, because these reviewers, a lot of them already pretty much told you that they were going to give this game a lower score than it probably deserved a couple weeks ago. Now, a couple weeks ago, you guys saw that I did the video on the real reason why Miles McKenzie is in Metroid Prime 4. And if you haven't watched that video, go ahead and check that out. It's actually one of my better recent videos. But a lot of these reviewers were claiming that this character alone was making this game unplayable and that it's ruining Prime and all this jazz. So realistically, there was no way that these people were going to say this and then still give this game a glowing review. And that's not because the game isn't good or because the game sucks, but just simply based on the fact that it would make them look stupid. Yes, these people did make all these conclusions based on playing the game for only like an hour. But even if they thought that this game was incredible, they're not going to give it a glowing review after saying all that a couple weeks ago, because it simply would make them look stupid. Also, there's the fact that something that I brought up quite a long time ago. I've done so many videos on Metroid Prime 4 and discussed Metroid Prime 4 in so many different instances, so I can't remember which video this is from or if this was during a live stream or on Twitter or whatever. But I said a long time ago that it was going to be pretty much impossible for Metroid Prime 4 to live up to the hype. And the reason for that is just simply based on how long this game has been in development and who it's been in development from. There was no way that this game was actually going to live up to people's hype for the game. This game would literally have had to have been considered one of the greatest games of all time simply to even get probably review scores close to the original game. And that's just because time makes people, the longer the time goes, the more people get hyped, the more expectations start to get unrealistic. And then Metroid Prime 4 also has the balancing act of trying to be more modern or up to today's standards, because the last Metroid Prime game came out 2-3 generations ago, and also has to please the fans of that classic game. So it was a balancing act. When you release a new game, 20 years pretty much after the last game, that's always a hard thing to do, because you're either going to have to reinvent everything from scratch, or you're going to try to add some new with some old. And whenever that happens, it doesn't matter really how good the game is. There's always going to be fans of the new and fans of the old. Just like there's Tomb Raider is another example. At the latest Tomb Raider games that came out, especially the first two, were very good, but there's still people to this day that claim that those are trash and that the old games with the tank controls were incredible and way better, which is false. But yeah, there's people that believe that. But the moment that this game got announced and then canceled and then went radio silent, the hype for this game reached insane levels, and there was just the amount of time that we had to wait for this game. There was no way that it was gonna reach the hype that was set for it. Now, one thing that's interesting though about what I've seen of the people that have done reviews of this game, and I'm not looking at a whole bunch of reviews because I don't want too many spoilers, and so like a lot of this I want to experience for myself. But I noticed that a lot of people, or most of the people that were seeing doing reviews, admit that this game for them was better than Metroid Prime 2 and Metroid Prime 3. Yet this game scored way lower than those games. And it was a constant, people were constantly comparing it to, oh, well, you know, it was pretty good, but it was no Metroid Prime 1. It was good, but not as good as Metroid Prime 1. But they admit it's better than Metroid Prime 2 and 3, yet the score doesn't reflect that. So that's something else that you guys should keep in mind there. The best thing to do is to try the game out based on what you think about and thought about the game before any of these reviews or impressions came out. Because at the end of the day, a review is just someone's opinion. When it comes to reviews of games, unless it's a game I have zero interest in, I'm going to buy the game regardless of the review, unless the game just has terrible performance, which this game actually has excellent performance. So there's not really anything to worry about if you're already interested in the game. I have a feeling this is going to be one of those instances where people look back and they're like, wow, those reviews were stupid.